Test. We'll give it a couple seconds to get hot. Since YouTube seems to have me shadow banned when it comes to a quick live stream and just see what happens. Got some nice snowy weather conditions. A little bit of ice on the roads, and by a little bit I mean a lot. So my drive will be slow. I think it'd be a good time to yap. Give it a couple minutes. We know what's going on. You people or not, that's not the decision we're here to make. Renee Good, right? That was the first. I mean, I thought personally we saw her hit a law enforcement officer, federal agent with a vehicle. If you follow me, subscribe, whatever, you know my take on it. Now we've got this guy, Pretty, who's coming out. You know, he got shot. First video looked pretty bad. Some slowed footage, detailed analysis. Depends on how you look at it. Some people say that they just disarmed him and executed him. Some people say when he was fighting, it looked like he was reaching for a weapon. I don't know. I thought it looked like he was reaching for something. It's not like they knew what gun. All they knew is for sure he had one weapon. It's not uncommon for people to carry multiple firearms on them, but especially in situations like this. What we know about Pretty, though, is his parents came out and said he had recently quit his job as an ICU nurse. So everybody saying he was an ICU nurse is not true. He had already quit the day before he went out to this protest, which he carried no ID. And decided to bring a weapon with him, which is already illegal. Not saying that's worth being shot for, but just saying he wasn't lawfully carrying a weapon like people have been claiming. He goes out. He had joined a group, his parents, a group about another case, multiple other cases. You could talk about other, mass shooters in history, Normally when people make decisions like this, they're not doing it because they believe they're trying to live a long time. They're trying to have, a good positive outcome for the day. So, when people start wiping their social medias, just as an adult, if you quit your job, are you still being paid by someone to do what you're doing? Because we know what he's doing. He's going out and fighting ICE and protesting, which is cool. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But how are you going to live? Or are you doing that because you don't plan on living very long? Or it's time to grab your guns and the time for the peaceful stuff is over, man. Bro, who's that one friendly dude? That stupid tattoo on his face? So silly, man. But, hey, I'm all for peaceful protests. When people start being violent, though, you have to understand that no government in the world is going to be met with violence and not with violence. Whether that's wrong, when it comes to right or wrong versus the way of the world and how things are. Ideally, no one would ever get shot and killed. Unfortunately, that's not a world we live in. Ideally, no one would ever be killed. No human would ever be killed at the hands of another human. With that being said, you also would say, hey, ideally, no violent types of crime would ever happen. No grapes would ever happen. You know, you don't want to see any of that. It would be a much better world if none of that existed. Unfortunately, it's just not the world that we live in. So you have to take what you're given. So I was stating on my reels, I was uploading what's going to happen. I was saying yesterday, hey, Tim Walz is going to get pressure applied to him. President's going to reach out to him and say, hey, man, you know, we have all this evidence that you were involved in leading people to fight against federal agents. If you don't do something to help federal agents, we're going to invoke the Insurrection Act and you will be facing jail time. And do you think Walz or any other politician is going to do a day in jail if it versus, you know, doing what any politician would do? You have to have law and order in your cities. These people who went to tear down a hotel because it was housing ICE agents. Have you ever booked a hotel before? During one time of booking your hotel, did they ever ask you what you do for a career? I mean, I've stayed at a lot of hotels. Not one time were they ever like, hey, by the way, what's your employment and where do you work at? You know, give me a resume of your current position at your current company before you can book a night here. No, they're a hotel, right? They rent out rooms to people who have money to pay for rooms. They're just trying to get booked. That's their job. So you're going to destroy the people's business and private property, all because they're housing people who they most likely didn't even do background checks on? Like, not most likely didn't. They don't do background checks on people who stay at fucking hotels. I don't know. It just seems so silly to me, man. But now you have the state police coming in, and what are the state police doing? Exactly what we all knew they would do. They're fighting against the protesters. I use the term protesters very lightly because we all know these people are rioters, right? It passed the point of peaceful protest. And whether you want to say that is, you know, allowed or not, or, you know, whether you want to say it's reasonable or not, at the end of the day, when you start violently protesting things, it ends up bad. I feel bad. I've got ice popping off the top of my truck right now. I think a lot of people are going to, though. There's ice. There's going to be protests. And, you know, what I thought was funny is going back to the Obama administration, right? I had a friend tell me last night, I forget his exact wording, but he was basically leading on as if ICE didn't exist until the Trump administration. Which, you go back to 2009, Obama's the one who set up these camps that were separating families. Tom Homan was still in charge, and you didn't hear nearly as much about it, right? There's different estimates of how many people died during those time frames, and it's just funny to watch because these same people weren't protesting, rioting. They didn't seem to care that much then, right? Which is exactly what I said. Now we're witnessing, this is what propaganda does. It makes you feel, these news outlets are good at what they do. And I don't care what side you're on. It doesn't matter. These people are professionals. They know how to invoke emotion out of you, which is exactly what they're supposed to do. Right? I mean, you could watch any scripted thing and people can make... That's why, I don't know. What's an example? Like WWF, WWE, right? Most people watched that when they were children. You have people you like, you have people you hate. And you'll see people in the crowd actually being mad at these people for a character. It's all just characters, man. People take this shit way too seriously, and at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference. Because it's always going to end up the same. It's just political agendas. You've got midterms coming up. You're going to see more of this type of thing hitting because they want to earn votes, one way or the other. Again, it doesn't matter what side you're on. We're all victims of it. They exploit your personal beliefs to try to pass their agenda. And they know, You see a dude get shot in the streets, that's going to make you upset. Most people, assuming you're not some sort of psychopath, it is what it is. It's part of it. You see the person shot and you say, oh, that's messed up. You don't really think about, is this justified or not? Because we're not trained to think that way. We're trained to go, oh man, that's sad. Somebody lost a son or a father or a significant other. It's just sad. No one wants to see people get killed. Unalived. Whatever they say. I don't know the YouTube thing. YouTube don't like me right now. I just want to know who shadow banned me, right? You go back through my reels, it goes from 1.2, 1.3K, 900, 100. And, I've only been uploading reels for like a couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden it's 10 views. Come on, bro. Come on, man. I'm not spreading any hateful messages. I'm just doing satirical comedy over politics. Because if you can't look at the world and laugh, even in bad situations, you're going to have a horrible life. I do have conservative views, but I'm still a person at the end of the day. Nobody's perfect. I'm not the kind of person who goes and votes strictly one way or the other. So I figured I'd hop on a live for a few minutes. Instead of trying to make a recorded video, that shit's hard to get out. But as I was saying, the politicians of anywhere where people are rioting, they're not going to stand with the rioters, man. They're not going to protect these people from prosecution in the court of law. They will flip on them so quick. I don't know. I'm from Texas. You come down to Texas. Why do you have latex gloves on? Because it's cold as hell, right? And it's icy. And I wear them under my normal gloves. So if my gloves get wet, my hands don't get wet. Because everything's melting today and everything's wet. And latex gloves, you can use your phone with them. It's like wet socks, man. Who wants wet socks? What the fuck? Performance surgery? Have y'all... Tell me you've never worked on vehicles without telling me you've never worked on vehicles. Mechanics gloves are thin, right? Thin rubber gloves. They're not like thick gloves. Look, man, I'm just a sarcastic person. That's what I think's funny. I think sarcasm is funny. So you see me saying stuff like that, it's because I think it's funny. How long has this stream been going? 16 minutes? That's about what I figured. About 15 minutes. I'll put it out. Just yap a bit. And we'll get more updates. I want to see what it comes. What's my name? Riggs? What's your name? I'm just saying, wet gloves, wet socks ruins the day. It's a good way to ruin the day. I got to get some pet food and some supplements. So I'm about to go to the store. And I don't think I'm going to stay live while I'm rocking around. Plus, I think my service dies in this store anyway. Pet food and supplements. Living it up, baby. So, yo, I'll go live a little bit more often on old YouTube. I just wanted to see if it would help out with my whole shadow ban that I've been dealing with on this platform. Because I didn't say anything negative. I was just giving my takes on situations going on, which a ton of channels do. So I don't know what caused me to get shadow banned, but it's annoying as hell. Yo, like, subscribe, dislike, make fun of me in the comments, do whatever you do, but I'm gonna head out. Y'all be easy. Latex gloves, baby.